Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game from the 22nd European Team Championship. It's Netherlands versus Spain. On board one it's Anish Giri versus David Anton Guijarro. And there's been a lot of talk about should Giri be punished in some way or not for declining to play in the Isle of Man chess tournament. So as if he was preserving his rating so he doesn't lose his spot in the candidate. So here it's going to be very interesting to see how he will fare on board one. Will he lose rating? Will he gain rating? And can he improve on his rating even more, or will his candidate spot maybe fall to someone else like Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, or who knows, what else can happen. But that being said, let's check out the game, as it is a very nice game. Giri already won a very nice game in the previous round. I was thinking about showing it, and I was actually about to show it, and then I saw this game which just happened, so I decided to show this one instead. As it's also a very nice game. So Giri with the white pieces opens with e4. We have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4. The Italian is on the board, and bishop to c5. So here b4, the Evans Gambit, really an awesome move, but it was not played in this game. So here we have castles by Giri, and now just knight to f6. We have d3. d6 by black, with c3 and a5. This has been all played a lot of times. We have rook to e1 and now castles. We have h3 by Giri, h6 by Guijarro, and now knight b to d2. This knight is coming to f1 at some point, then either to e3 or to g3, depending on what black plays. Bishop to e6, making room for the queen to go to b8. We already covered a few games in this line. The queen wants to come to b8 to a7, and then from a7 with the bishop, put some pressure on the f2 pawn. With bishop to b5, now preparing to capture the knight on c6, queen to b8, and now Guijarro already had this position in the Isle of Man chess tournament against Levon Aronian, where knight to f1 was played, but here Giri goes for bishop captures on c6. Giri follows his game against Ding from Shenzhen, China, with b captures on c6 and now d4. Attacking the bishop, also expanding in the center. E captures, C captures, and now in the game against Ding played bishop to b4 against Giri. That game ended in a draw, but here bishop to b6. It's not a new move, it has been played before, but here is where we have a completely new move and a completely new game. There is a known move b3 here, and for example, Anand defeated Vidit with knight to f1 here in the Tata Steel India edition, but Giri goes a4 here, and it is as of move 14 that we have a completely new game. So let's see what poison Giri prepared for Guijarro. The idea is he wants to make a very nice rook lift with rook to a3 followed by rook to e3. The idea has never been tried before. We have rook to e8 by Guijarro, and now rook to a3. Giri just continues with his plan. We have queen to b7 now, and rook 8 to e3. With rook 8 to b8, now doubling up on the b file. The b pawn might become a bit weak. With b3, and now bishop back to a7. So now this knight is pretty much stuck here guarding the b3 pawn, but it's also nice that the rook guards it. So even though it's attacked 3 times, it doesn't really matter because it's nicely defended. But Giri might have some problems developing his pieces because they are all stuck guarding the b3 pawn. But okay, bishop to b2 by Giri, and now d5. Guijarro invites Giri to push e5 with e5 by Giri, now weakening the center so he can later undermine it with c5. We have knight to d7, and here knight to h4. So what do you play here? Best for Guijarro is queen to h5 is coming by Giri, as he prepared for this game to go for a nice attack if possible. The rook can also come to g3 to join in the attack, and here you want to play queen to b4. It doesn't allow the queen to jump into the game because the knight will be hanging, and once the queen is kicked away, you go back to e7, and from e7, if anything like queen to h5 is played, you can always go queen to g5. So this is the best way to go for black. But Guijarro continued with c5. It's a very principled move. You want to strike in the center. You have a double c pawn. Why not get rid of it? But it's a problem if it's too slow. So Giri goes rook to g3. And okay, we have queen to a6 now, a move that will that Guijarro will pay dearly, as the queen is really out of game on a6. The idea is probably somehow trying to, once this bishop moves, trying to get the queen into the game this way, or might be some other idea. Can't pinpoint it right away, but you'll see what I mean by this. Giri goes queen to h5, and here we have king to h8, not allowing queen captures on h6 as the g7 pawn is pinned. So king to h8 and now bishop to c1. Giri is now ready to move the knight, and then the bishop will capture on h6. There's very little you can do about this because the light square bishop doesn't really have anywhere to go, and you don't really have a good way of bringing your queen back into the defense, or any other pieces for that matter. Rook to g8 by Guijarro, and now knight d to f3, preparing to capture on h6. This is happening, there's no way you can prevent this. We have knight to f8, bringing yet another defender into the game, but bishop captures on h6. So what do you do here? Of course, you could capture, but that's not really something you want to do. If you capture, then queen captures on h6 with check. Your king has no moves, you have to block with the knight, and after knight to h7, you're gonna go knight to g5. And here, again, there really aren't no good. There are no good moves here. Queen captures on h7, the threat of mate, and well, there just isn't all that much you can play. Now you could go queen to d3, which might be one of the reasons why Guijarro decided to place the queen on a6. That he might also try and get her into the game. But if this rook wasn't on g3, so here, that you don't really have a move. You could play captures once, but after captures, there's still there's no good way to play this. If rook g8, you're just gonna capture, rook captures, king captures, and just bring the other rook into the game, rook e3 and the rook g3, and that's just game over. So not really something that is difficult to calculate. So here g6 by Guijarro, and now feel free to pause the video and try to find the best move for Giri in this position while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on continuing the attack, and for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's of course knight captures on g6. So what can you play here? With f captures on g6, the point of knight captures on g6 is to free the h4 square for white's queen. So f captures on g6 and now queen to h4 by Giri, and now the threat is just bishop captures on f8. This will be checkmate. It's a discovered check from the queen, and the bishop will still be guarding the g7 square. So knight to h7 by Guijarro, and here Giri just brought another piece into the game. He played knight to g5, and it was in this position on move 28 that David Anton Guijarro resigned the game, and that's another victory in the 22nd European Team Championship for Anish Giri. So really exciting stuff. He resigned here because if you capture the knight, knight captures, you just get bishop captures with check, and once the king starts running away, it's a really quick mate. Queen h6 check, king f7, rook f3 check, king has to run away, and now queen to h7, and there is no defense against queen to e7 mate. You could, play some silly moves and prolong the mate, but queen e7 mate is coming. So after knight g5, you could try rook g7, maybe somehow run away with the king, but it's still the same idea. Bishop captures, you're just gonna capture here, king to f8, rook f3 check, king e8, and now rook f6 is sufficient. After rook captures on e6, it will either win the queen or you are very quickly getting checkmated, so, or both, why not? But yeah, after knight to g5, another excellent victory for Giri in the 22nd European Team Championship. So it seems that I think he won around 4 rating points for this game, and I think he won around 4 in the previous game, and he started with 2780. So if he continues this, he might go into the candidates tournament being rated 2800, but it's still early in the tournament. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know the other results because this game finished and I immediately decided to show it, but I will keep you informed on the standings and on the other results, as we do have some other games to check as well. So that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. It's been a while since we saw a nice wild Giri game. I would like to thank Latif Traore, Luis Felipe Fiallo, Lawrence Cuthbert, Bruce Moody, and Michael Fallon for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing to cover the 22nd European Team Championship, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and still preparing the next big saga. Well, the vote for it. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.